Patrick and Chuck at Pals. And Chuck, looks like you've got a table full of different types of antifreeze. What? We just don't use green antifreeze for everything anymore?
No. Certain car manufacturers have changed the design of their vehicle to be very coolant specific. You've got a pink for Asian. You've got a red for Asian. You've got European blue, which is common in Mercedes-Benz and BMW and Audi. You have regular G05, and we have good old green.
Well, what's G05? When you say regular G05, I've never heard of G05. What is that?
Well, G05 is sort of very similar to like Dexcool. Primarily, it's used on Chryslers and Fords. Some Mercedes-Benz use them as well. And the G05 just means that's what properties it has for cooling those particular vehicles.
And so right next door, you've got Dexcool, right?
Correct, right here.
So the G05 and the Dexcool are the same but different.
Right, that's correct. They do have different properties. Whereas this you probably would not put in a Mercedes-Benz. This you can.
This you can. Okay.
And it's because of the way it's formulated, what properties that it has.
Now what happens if you have, let's say you have that Asian vehicle here that takes the red Toyota, Lexus, and Scion. What if you take your Toyota that requires red and you put green in it?
Well, you can cause problems because the two coolants don't mix well. A lot of times back 20 years ago, you'd find somebody who had Dexcool in their car and they'd end up putting green in the car, and then they'd have problems because it would turn to look like mud. And that's because the properties are different. So the engine is designed for the right coolant. You want to be very specific to get the right coolant for your vehicle.
So a lot of times folks say, well, gee, that seems expensive to me. You know, I can go down the street and get it for a lot less. And what that really is saying is the people down the street may not be using the right coolant in the car.
That's correct. And you can cause all kind of other problems with the car. I've seen instances where people have had the wrong coolant in the car and it gel up to where it clogs up a heater core or clogs up the radiator itself. It's very, very important that you put the right coolants in your vehicle. And unfortunately, it's just like anything. A lot of guys at the quick lube places, a lot of the younger guys, they may not know this because they're still learning their skill, their trade set. So it's really important that you get somebody who's got some certifications, preferably ASEs, and that are familiar and have the information handy. We look up every car when we change the coolant or the oil to make sure that what we're putting in has the proper properties for that vehicle.
And, you know, it just isn't coolant. It's engine oil. It's power steering fluid. It's all different types of fluids.
It is. You have several different kinds of power steering fluids for the imports from Europe. Mini and Audi and Mercedes all take a special type of power steering fluid. Same thing with Honda. If you don't put Honda approved power steering fluid in, you will have a problem with the power steering pump. It will not work properly.
And that really started in the early 90s with Honda, that they started making it specific.
That is correct.
And what I remember, and you can probably amplify on this, it's like with Toyota, I began to see things with Toyota fluid specific. For instance, 0W20 oils, the Asian vehicle red coolant, and they also have the orange coolant for the Asians.
That is correct. And so what people don't understand is when you say 020, well, 020 is a full synthetic oil. Well, why do we have to have such a light oil? Cuts down friction in the engine. It increases gas mileage. The car manufacturers are all trying to stay on top of the CAFE laws for the EPA, which means they've got to meet so many miles per gallon per vehicle produced. Well, if you can run that real light, thin oil in there and cut down the friction in the engine, you increase power and you get better gas mileage.
And that's true with these antifreezes as well. They can cut down on friction and improve fuel economy as well, right?
That is correct.
And then also the manufacturing processes, they can use different materials inside of the water pumps and inside of the radiators, which cool better than just regular aluminum. And that makes a difference. But if you put the wrong fluid with it, it becomes corrosive.
It sure does. So the lesson learned today is to put in the proper fluid, no matter what it is, for this classification of your vehicle. because it's designed for it. So if you need your fluids changed, bring it to PALS. We'll help you find the right chemicals for your car. See you soon.